Alright guys, so I'm gonna continue with the fiberglassing over those corrugated bucks that I built. So I'm gonna move on to the front fenders. I wrapped everything in the clear packing tape, and I'm hoping I have enough of that red material to do all the pieces. So because I'm not so sure that I do, I'm gonna save these. These are the side pods at the front for last, because in case I do run out, these will probably be the easiest ones to do in probably regular fiberglass cloth. So but let's keep our fingers crossed, maybe I have enough. In any case, let's go on and proceed to wrapping the front fenders with the red material, and then getting that fiberglass.
This is a Ryan Little production.
Alright, so we got fiberglass on the first one. This piece wasn't that bad actually. I mean, the only bad thing is that it's a large piece, and got an air bubble right there. I've actually been working the air bubbles to the back here, because once you get them to the back, they'll be on the inner part of the fender, which will not be visible. But in any case, it looks like it's gassing a little bit, which is normal. As the resin starts to cure. But yeah, so I mean, this piece went on pretty smoothly. It was also easier to put the red fabric. You can see pretty much wrinkle free compared to the rear fenders. And I think the reason is because we had that part on the rear fender that came to a sharp point, and I think that's always the difficult part. This was the toughest part on this one, but I was able to get it wrinkle free. So let's get some resin on this piece, and then we could call this section done as well. Well, unfortunately, because I'm out of push pins and the glue gun still doesn't work, I'm not going to be able to do the little side pods today. So tomorrow I'll go and buy some thumbtacks or something, and hopefully I have enough material to do this piece. I think this is all I have left. I think if I stretch it enough, I might be able to get it to cover at least. I know I have enough for one, for sure. Let me see. Yeah, this might not be enough for the other one. So, in any case, so tomorrow I'm gonna go buy some thumbtacks to see if I could get that material to stretch and cover that up. Apply resin to that. I'm also gonna buy some fiberglass mat. I'm hoping the rear fenders will be dry by tomorrow, that I could pull those off and reinforce them from behind. The front fenders just finished up, so I don't know if those will be dry by tomorrow, but maybe they will, maybe they won't. The weather's a little bit cold, but in any case, I'll see you tomorrow. Alright guys, so change of plans. The idea was to pull the molded pieces off of the corrugated forms today, but you know, we had very cold weather last night, so they're not 100% cured. So and also the areas that are, it's a very thin layer of, so this fabric's very thin, so even with the resin on there, it's very pliable, it's very flexible. So I know that if I pull them off of the forms now, they're gonna be distorted, and then I'm just never gonna get them to stay the right shape again. So what I think I'm gonna do is, instead of going to like a local auto parts store and buying some fiberglass mat and whatever, I think I'm gonna order some gel coat, and I'm gonna gel coat the outside to see if that's enough to harden the outside of the part to the point where I could pull it off without it having distort and flex. So and again, I maybe it just needs to sit a little bit more to cure, but it hasn't cured within, it hasn't been a full 24 hours, but I'm just gonna give it another day just to see what it does. In the meantime, I'm going to form the side pods. These guys, I took the pins off of the other parts, so I didn't have to buy any push pins. So I'm just gonna get some fiberglass resin on these and keep the project rolling.
This is a Ryan Little production.
Right, so I got these wrapped, and one thing I think might end up being a little bit of an issue is this part here, this inside corner. I have none of the other parts have inside corners like this, where it's just like a 90-degree, and there's basically going to be an air pocket here. I tried to stretch the fabric as much as I could. This one's actually a little bit worse here. You can kind of see it's just creating like a web in the inside corner. And the other problem is that it's actually it's tapering in, so that might be difficult when I'm trying to pry it off the mold, but I think that's about as good as I'm gonna get it. So I'm just gonna fiberglass these and deal with it later. Alright, so I got these with the resin on it. And let me show you what the other parts look like right now. So these are still slightly tacky, but I would say they're probably 95% there. But this is what I was talking about. So if I try to pull this off, it's very flexible. And this, although this goes back, has a good enough memory to go back, when I try to do the shallow edges here, and I flex this out like this, it wants to stay out. So I think it's a combination of the fabric is so thin that it really doesn't provide enough fiber structure. So basically the resin's doing all the work. So what I'm gonna try to do is, so I think it needs basically another layer of resin to kind of stiffen that up a little bit before I try to pry it off. That's just a theory, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some buy a gel coat and gel coat everything. Hopefully that gel coat will be that added layer that will stiffen it up enough that I could pull the corrugated out of it. And I think I might have to go around the edge and maybe cut like 1/8 off this lip, because a lot of the resin dripped and worked its way around, because you know these were held with push pins, so basically it was suspended in air, kind of like these parts are right now. So you could see as the resin drips around the sides, it actually wraps the shell, or the resin shell actually wraps itself around the buck, so it's not letting me pull it out easily. So I'm gonna have to get like a Dremel and just cut maybe the bottom 1/8 of an inch off of everything around the full perimeter to get it off. But yeah, so I'm gonna order some more materials, and then we'll jump back into this. On the rear fenders, these actually are taking a longer time to dry. Now these are definitely still tacky, so these stayed in, even though I did these first, these stayed in the garage overnight. These stayed outside, so I don't know if, even though it was colder outside, there was some sun, and I think the UV light helps to cure this faster. So I'm thinking that this will actually get harder, and it might be easier to pry off, but I don't want to risk it. I want to these were a lot of work. I don't want to crack apart trying to get it out or deform it, and then when I go to put it on the mini truck, it's completely warped. So in any case, like I said, I'm gonna get some more materials on order, and hopefully these guys will dry up and to the point where we could work with them again. All right, so the parts dried up. One suggestion for you guys when you do this: do not put the resin on thick. I have some thick spots. You could kind of see them here, and what that does is it basically takes a very long time to dry, and it actually makes your fiberglass weaker. So originally I was thinking that after this I put a gel coat on here, and then I could say that the outside surface is done. But when I tried to pull it off, I could see that the cloth is so thin, especially because it was stretched out, that the fiberglass is pliable. So what I'm gonna do instead is I am going to put one more layer of fiberglass cloth over it, fiberglass that over with resin, and then the outside will be somewhat finished. But before I do that, I'll trim it. Well, I shouldn't say it'll be finished, because then I still want to do a gel coat top, but then I could reinforce it from the back with some fiberglass mat. So for now, I'm gonna have to trim the extra material here, and so that when I put the mat doesn't go tuck underneath. It goes out, so that way I could pull the part off the mold easily. Alright, so what I've done is I've gotten a big piece of corrugated, and I traced the part on the corrugated with a pen, and then I taped the areas around and somewhat under as well, just so the fiberglass won't stick to the corrugated. And then I put some drywall screws from the back right into the corrugated that's still in here. So now when I put my fiberglass mat, the idea is that it'll go over and then drape out, and then I could just trim the excess flange that's left. So now I'm gonna apply the fiberglass mat, I'm sorry, not mat, cloth. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use some adhesive spray, just to lightly coat this, just to get to be a little bit tacky, so that I could get the fiberglass cloth to kind of lay as flat as possible, and that way I'm not doing it while I'm applying the resin. So I'm basically gonna wrap the whole thing with the cloth first and then move on to the resin. Guys, that did not go well for me. So I think the idea, I've never done this before with the spray mount. I saw it done before and it looked like it would work, but it did something weird to the fiberglass mat where it hardened it to the point where it wouldn't absorb the resin, and it was just a nightmare. So I basically, there's nothing wrong with the process, it's just don't, when you want to lay down your fiberglass cloth, instead of using that, I would suggest you just put a thinner layer of the resin, and then apply the cloth over that, because it was a nightmare to get this thing to get all the air bubbles out. And you could see as it's gassing now, I'm getting more air bubbles right here. So what I think, I just gave myself a lot of extra work by doing this, because now I think I'm gonna have all these crazy high spots, and I have a lot of sanding ahead of me. So what I think I'm gonna do is, and I know I keep flip-flopping back and forth, but I think for the other side, I am gonna try to just do the gel coat on the outside and let that dry, and then just reinforce it from the back, because this just did not go well, and I don't have a good feeling about this part now because of all the air in it. So I'm gonna keep kind of squeegeeing it with the little roller for a little bit more as it's gassing, but I think the other fender, I'm gonna do the gel coat and see how that turns out. It's also quite cold today, so it's like 40 degrees, which is not ideal. I think you want to have at least 70 degrees to work with fiberglass. So I'm gonna take this part inside to let it cure. Hopefully it'll cure faster, and when I do the gel coat, I'm gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna leave this one here and move on to the other fender. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and try the other side with just the gel coat to see if that will harden enough that I could pull this off and then just reinforce it from the back. Like I said, right now if I try to pull it off, I don't think it'll keep its shape. I think it'll deform. That's gonna be the next step, depending on which works better, the gel coat or what I did on the other part with the fiberglass mat. That's what I'm gonna do for the remainder of the parts. I'm really hoping this one will work the best, because I had a really hard time with the other method. So let's get to it. Alright, so this is the gel coat that I got. It came with the catalyst, which is a what they call a MEKP catalyst. It says to put 14 to 16 drops per ounce. So the one thing, see if this has a dropper. It does. The one thing, it also came with some mixing cups, which is good. But the one thing is, unlike the other resin, which you should not mess with the formula, the 5-to-1 formula, this you can actually add more or less of the catalyst depending on how cold. So if it's really hot, you could use less, and when it's really cold like today, you could use more. But it has to be within the 3% range, so it's very little. Like you could add a couple more drops, but that's it. You can't go crazy. So in any case, I'm going to go ahead and mix about, I'm gonna say, I don't know how much this will spread, so I'm gonna try to just do more than what I need, and then if I say I have too much next time, I'll know I won't need as much. But I think I'm gonna probably do like maybe 6 ounces and let that, and if I have extra, I'll just toss it out. But I don't want to stop and remix more resin like I did on the other one. So let's get to it. Right guys, so this gel coat stuff, it goes on beautifully. I mean, it's just marvelous to work with. It goes on just like, it's basically like brushing latex paint on. It's the only bad thing about it, the fumes are pretty strong, but other than that, it's like a nice thick layer of paint basically. So I'm hoping that this thing will dry up. You see I have some slight high spots. I'm hoping that they'll level out a little bit, but this will give me a pretty somewhat clean surface that I could just then do some sanding. This sand coat is sandable. I'm sorry, this gel coat is sandable, so you could sand it down to make it smooth, and I'm hoping that this will really eliminate that process of or reduce the process of doing the bondo where you straighten out all the lines and whatnot. So if this works, this is the process I'm going to use for all the remainder of the parts. So I think I'm going to end this video here. So in the next video, I'll kind of look at both parts and see what we got and which direction I'm going to go for the rest of the pieces here. Thanks for watching.